our mission, and a big part of it is to advocate for Black journalists and provide quality programming, but community is a big part of it. Having these kinds of conversations, holding events to educate, uplift, and enlighten our community. But the thing is, it takes a lot of resources. So if you would be so kind to scan the QR code at the bottom and make a small donation or a sizable donation. We just need the funds, we need the help. If you want to see this kind of programming continue, we would appreciate your support. Also, you can learn more about the National Association of Health Services Executives at the link next to our QR code. Now, this brings me to our program. I'd like to start by introducing an amazing woman. Where is she? There she is. She's my sister. We have been print sisters, community sisters for a long time, and she's just awesome. And her name is Faith Colas, and in the marketplace, she is the owner of Vaughn Communications, LLC, a company dedicated to connecting people and fostering community growth through transformative engagement. She also serves as Director of Partnerships and Special Projects with the Greater Milwaukee Urban League. Faith has a bachelor's in biblical studies and a stellar PR, community engagement, communications, and media relations career spanning more than 35 years. She served on the WUWM Public Radio Advisory Board from 2018 to 2025 and has worked with the station's leadership team since 2016 to establish the Eric Vaughn Broadcast Fellowship in honor of her late husband, a man who I still cherish and appreciate for the voice he gave to our community, a respected political commentator, journalist, and community advocate. This paid fellowship supports the next generation of diverse storytellers and has successfully launched the broadcast media careers of seven college graduates. And we have, okay, thank you. In 2023, the Eric Vaughn Broadcast Fellowship Endowment Fund was established at the Greater Milwaukee Foundation. Vaughn Communications LLC joins WUWM Public Radio in leading the fundraising efforts for the Eric Vaughn Broadcast Fellowship. Faith is a mom and a grandmother to a blended family and lives in the Sherman Park neighborhood with her fur baby, who I do know, Mr. Max. So join me in welcoming our moderator, Faith Colas.
Thank you, Sister Tanette. How's everyone this morning? Good, good. I am happy to be here and joining you all this morning for this important discussion, one that will happen here, but also one that you can take wherever you go in your circle, in your family, your friends, and other parts of your community, including our faith community. I want to ask you to silence your phones, and we're going to get started. As my dear sister Tanette has said, we go way back in our print careers. I started at the Milwaukee Courier, and I believe it was '87, and I worked there for 20 years and retired as the publisher and transitioned into community engagement and focused on PR. And in that, I've had the opportunity to meet women that are joining us on the panel this morning, and many of you that are in the audience. I am a native Milwaukeean, born and raised here, and staying because I'm in my 60s, and I think that we have some of the best air quality in the city. I love that we live on water. I don't have to leave my house in the wintertime when I get to that age where it's just too cold to be outside. And one of my daughters lives in the East Coast and the other in the West Coast, so I can travel and enjoy all that I need. But mostly I stay here because of the work that women like who are on this panel do, and the work that all of you do, and the work and the narrative that we're all working to change in Milwaukee so that it is better. And so with that, I also want to remind you all that today is Black Girl Day Off Day. How many knew that? Well, how many of y'all take off on Saturday? I'm just saying, right? You know? But we have to be reminded, for days like this, to stay encouraged and to encourage black women to take a moment for our mental health and to take a day off, to focus on our emotional well-being. It's critical to all the things that we do as super women, with all our black girl magic, with all our queen magic, with all our sisterhood that crosses all ethnicities and cultures. We do have to take time for ourselves. This day was developed to encourage us to get involved in our health, to overcome mental health disorders and incorrect diagnosis. It is critical to have skilled and compassionate mental health providers. The issues and trauma that we encounter are unique, and they must be treated accordingly. Today, our purpose is to empower black women and those who care about us with vital information, resources, and a supportive community. And I want us to remember as black women that we have people that care about us. We gotta let them care about us. We don't do a good job at letting people care about us, you know, because we're always the caregivers, right, in some way, shape, or form. So our time together today will be well spent in addressing critical health disparities, promote preventative care, and to encourage open dialogue about physical and mental well-being for ourselves and our families. We plan on having a powerful and inspiring conversation about the wellness of black women. And so let's get started. I want to introduce you to these incredible, outstanding experts joining me this morning. I want to start with Adrienne, the professional immediately to my right, and I'll go right down the line here. Adrienne Bryan is a healthcare executive who serves as the executive director of Moreland OBGYN, the largest independently owned OBGYN practice in southeast Wisconsin. She is also, did somebody say yoo-hoo? Yeah, okay. All right, let's give it up for her, okay? She is also the president-elect of the National Association of Health Services Executives. Adrienne has spent her career in healthcare, focusing on servant leadership through independent practices. In July of 2023, she was diagnosed with early onset breast cancer and has focused on educating others through their journeys. Please welcome Adrienne. One of my favorite mental health providers in the city. This woman is awesome, Dr. Leah Knox. She stands at the forefront of mental wellness advocacy, bringing over 28 plus years of transformative experience in mental health care to audiences worldwide. As the founder and CEO of Knox Behavioral Health Solutions and co-founder of Black Space Inc., she has revolutionized how mental wellness is discussed, taught, and integrated into daily life, particularly within underserved and under-resourced communities. Armed with a doctorate in counseling psychology from Auburn University, she has built a reputation for breaking down complex mental wellness topics with humor, wit, and deep empathy. So I just want to pause there for a minute because I have a little sign on my desk that says, when I want to take a vacation, just start laughing. Yeah. Best medicine ever. Her journey from growing up in an underserved Milwaukee community to becoming a nationally recognized mental health expert has shaped her commitment to authentic representation and cultural humility in mental health care. As a thought leader, she challenges the conventional approach to mental wellness, emphasizing that it is encompassing more than just therapy. It's about lifestyle. I just want that to sit with you for a minute, okay? It's about lifestyle, relationships, cultural understanding, and self-care. Man, all the things we do last for ourselves. Wow. Her innovative programs at Black Space HQ has garnered a 92% satisfaction rating from over 1,000 participants, demonstrating the power of creating culturally competent, healing spaces. Let's welcome Dr. Knox. Cherie Harris is a Milwaukee native and a proud alum of Milwaukee Public Schools. With over 20 plus years in radio and television, her career includes serving as general manager at 101.7 The Truth, and currently working as a marketing consultant with the Medical College of Wisconsin on the Everyday Count study for women with metastatic breast cancer. Cherie has been married 23 years and is the proud mother of 2 beautiful daughters. She is a breast cancer thriver, survivor, and conqueror, dedicated to inspiring others through resilience and purpose. Let's welcome Cherie. So, Carla Harris. Carla Harris is a registered nurse and formerly worked as a certified breast cancer navigator with Ascension Columbia St. Mary's. She's also a member of the facility's oncology support team as the Oncology Community Outreach Coordinator. For over 25 years, she has worked locally, regionally, and nationally with breast cancer and oncology programs to help promote early detection and treatment of cancers, especially affecting African Americans. She has a special interest in working in the African American community to eliminate healthcare disparities and raise awareness of the importance of breast cancer screening. Carla currently works for the Milwaukee Public School System as a school nurse while being a full-time caregiver for her mother who has early dementia. Let's welcome Carla. So before we get started, I just have a little history to tell y'all about Carla. That's why I wanted to introduce her last so I could spend a little bit more time on her. Carla and I met, I want to say now, maybe 15 years ago. And I was a host on Black Nouveau. And it was the first time that I did a mammogram on television. I did my first mammogram on television. I was in my early 40s. And I was terrified. Because those that know me real close know that I'm a really nosy person. And I was a nosy child. And I heard a conversation between my mother and my grandmother while I was kind of hiding while they were talking about family stuff. And my grandmother had just had her first mammogram. And she talked about how painful it was. And she talked about how this machine took her breast and squeezed it and it hurt really badly, right? And for some reason that stuck in my head. Like, you know, I'm a teenager and I'm not having a mammogram until my early 40s because of that conversation. I never even thought about it. No OBGYN ever said, well, you should have a mammogram, you know. Get ready, you should start having it. None of that. It was because of my position on Black Nouveau, and it was coming up to be Breast Cancer Month, that I decided to do that. And Carla was part of the health medical team to make that happen for us at Ascension. And so I want to thank Carla publicly for really holding my hand through that moment. They even expedited, because you can do it now, so I'm telling a little secret that couldn't happen then, but they gave me my results the same day. And so I was going to get my results, no matter what they were, with everyone watching Black Nouveau. And I was absolutely terrified. I'm kind of terrified right now just sharing that with y'all, because I remember the moment that the woman came in and showed me the image of my breast and told me that everything was normal. And I really sighed. It was like a great sigh of relief. And so I just want to thank Carla for being part of that team and holding my hand. So her reputation then and now is Black Girl Magic. So So I'm going to try and navigate through all of these little things that I have on my phone here. But we're going to start our conversation with these incredible women who are here to join us today. And we're going to start with the area of breast cancer awareness. As October is Breast Cancer Month, as you can see, many of us have on some dash of pink. I don't have a history of breast cancer in my family, although it's like maybe 3 or 4 generations removed. My daughter recently had her first mammogram, and she said a man must have invented this machine because there's no way a woman would do this to another woman. So there goes that painful mammogram story. But I want to ask this question, and I'm going to start with you, Carla. Why is early detection and education so critical for Black women?
Thank you, Faith.
You're welcome, Carla.
So now I've got to debunk.
Yes, you do.
So mammograms, probably was developed by a male, but so important. And every woman that walks out of this room, I want you to put aside that and just know it's so very important. It's our gold standard. It is the tool that we have. Many of us would hope and dream that there would be an ultrasound or something else invented that would put aside mammograms because of the compression, because of the discomfort. But I promise you, it's worth it. And they are not doing you a favor if they do it gently. They are gentle as they can, but I have to give a shout out to mammogram techs. They do a lot. Years ago, they would even do a clinical breast exam on you with their hands first and then put you on the machine. I don't think they do that anymore, but they are well trained, and they do 2 views on one side and 2 views on the other, and then they tell you to hold your breath, they compress, and it releases. I promise you, they release.
It does.
And for my sisters who are a little bit larger breasted, sometimes you have maybe 4 views on one side and 4 views on the other, but I always say to ladies that are a little bit more endowed, too much is given, much is required. I stick with that, so that it's okay. It is okay.
I like that.
Yes. So again, mammograms, it has bad reputation, but please, when you leave here, don't be afraid. Know that it is still our gold standard. And there's a reason why, because it can find cancers so very small and very early. And that's where we want to find it, if we've got to have it. We want to find the earliest possible breast cancers. And it can also find or see clearly what you may or may not feel, but it may be there significantly, but you just can't feel it because maybe you have larger breasts. Breast tissue is kind of funny because it can fold over on itself and hide. And so that mammogram pressing out and pulling that tissue apart so that you can really see is extremely important. So I know we've got other ladies on the panel, and I could just sit and talk about mammograms all day, Faith. So there you go.
Thank you, Carla. Adrienne, what barriers exist in accessing screenings?
Well, I think as we look at our cultural landscape right now, women's health has been a topic in the news, I'd say probably monthly at best, for the last probably 3 to 4 years. And that's a huge barrier in my opinion. So I think the barriers are gonna be long-standing. When you think of initial barriers, you think of insurance. You can think of, respectfully, Ascension right now and what they're going through with United Healthcare. But that's a barrier to care, and that's a barrier to care to thousands of women in our community. And then you have to think of other barriers of care. What does hours look like for that clinic? Is that clinic working 8 to 4? So the average mother can't make it there because they can't take off of work and they gotta pick up their kids? Do they have after hours? What does that look like? You have to look at transportation as well too. Again, we're in a very interesting cultural landscape right now with healthcare, and I'm sure everybody's heard of birthing centers that have left the community. As I think Community Memorial has left, Elmbrook has left. Those are extra barriers of care. Now you have women looking for transportation to get basic care and basic needs that have now made that accessibility so much harder and so much further. So I think when you talk about barriers to care, I think those are some of the really big ones as you look at it, is how can we as a community continue to focus on accessibility to care for women, and there's accessibility isn't just, I'm gonna go to this doctor down the road. There are so many different facets to that.
Thank you, Adrian. Cherie, I know you're not expecting this question, but you are a survivor, a thriver, and a conqueror of breast cancer. And so I want you to share with us, how can families, providers, and communities better support?
I would say resources, because for me, with my personal battle with metastatic breast cancer, second recurrence, I didn't understand what resources were available to me. And when I say resources, like financial resources, what does that mean? Because insurance does dictate your care. And I'm learning that as I'm going through my treatment. Is this gonna put a financial strain on my family? How is my health insurance, how is my death benefit gonna be covered? Like, you think of all of these things, and you have to ask those questions because they're not going to just share it with you. And I'm learning through others that if you don't have the family support there, it's hard to go through this, because you're alone and you have all these thoughts, and you get depressed, and you don't want to go through treatment, you don't want to go to the doctor and hear it's still there. You want to hear good news, but how long is that good news going to last? How is that going to affect our family, our children? How do we communicate that? So how you respond to it is how your family and your friends are going to respond to it. And I learned to respond everything with joy, because we're not promised. We're on a time capsule. I would say we borrow time anyway. Cancer doesn't make it different. It's just how you respond to it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Carla, what have you learned from supporting women through recovery?
I've learned that with working with the support group more than 20 years, the women come in all shapes and sizes and backgrounds. We try to get the word out as best we can that it exists, but they come to you not necessarily when we want them to, when they're first diagnosed, come to the support group and meet these other women, but they need different things. And so we just want to know that we're there for them, that they have the support if they need it. Some women, one of the facilitators tells a story years ago. She had a woman to contact her, and all she wanted to do was see her face. She wanted to see an African-American woman that could stand in front of her and say, I've had breast cancer and I'm still living, because she really thought that her diagnosis was a death sentence. And that's all she needed. So sometimes it's lots of needs, and sometimes it's just some small things that they need, but the support, to know that the support is there, and to know what resources are out in the community. We do have them. And if I might, Faith, just add a few more things to
Absolutely.
Barriers. Knowing, one of the big ones that they always talk about is fear. Fear is there, and it looks different for every woman. Cost, the deductibles that are out there, and as she talked about, just the landscape now of health systems, and the lack of knowledge of resources. And so please, please, please know that the Wisconsin Well Woman program is alive and well in this state for 31 years, and it is still there. It looks different than it did even 5 years ago, but it is there, and it's a resource. And I want to keep talking about all of the resources so that women know that there is hope.
No, thank you so much for that, Carla. I hope everyone's taking notes or you're recording, the audio at least, because this is information, this is like lifelong learning, right? That we may not be in this particular health situation now, but maybe someone close to us is or could be in the future, or you might find yourself going through a second or third ultrasound to determine the status of your breast health. Adrian, how can health systems improve equity in breast cancer care?
So thinking about this, first thing that came to my mind was technology and health systems investing in technology. When I think about my journey, I went to, Oconomowoc for a while for my mammograms, and then I went to Milwaukee for a mammogram. And they told me that they found it because of the machine in Milwaukee. Wow. If I would have kept on going to Oconomowoc, I'm talking about Lake Country, they wouldn't have found it as early as they did. So I think that's a really big thing that comes to mind first thing of what health systems can do is continue to invest in technologies. Technologies are there for a reason, and this was such a huge thing for me and just an eye-opener where now every one of my girlfriends, when it's time for their mammogram, they say, where do I go? You're going to this one right here. You're coming here, because it's such a big deal. I know Carla talked about resources. I was so blessed to have resources, and health systems need to continue to invest in those resources. Yes, they might not be added to the bottom line, but they're added to the overall health of women. So within my journey, I was very blessed to be able to have a navigator who told me everything from, you're gonna do this day, you're gonna do this day, you're gonna do this day. I called her my Jewish mother I never knew I needed, and could have never done this without. From everything from, now you need to go buy a mastectomy bra, now you need to do this, you need to do that. Such a big thing, but also mental health. I'm sure we're gonna talk about mental health more later, but I cannot say and stress how much mental health resources and systems need to invest in mental health resources, because you don't know when you need them. I can talk very personally about that. When I was diagnosed, it was, okay, you're diagnosed, okay, great, you're gonna do this, and this, and this, and this. Sure, I'll go to the support group, great, you're still gonna do this, 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 this. And finally, I can remember the day I walked into the mental health professional's office, and I sat there and I cried for 2 hours straight. Not a word came out of my mouth except for just ugly crying and saying I'm sorry, and just kept on going. Because you don't know when you need those resources. And yes, they're not quote unquote money drivers, and they don't quote unquote pay the bills, but they are essential to women coming out of these situations positively. And you never know when you need them.
Give us the answer to this question. How do I have the conversation with my physician about the technology that they're using? What question should I ask?
They're not going to know, and I say that with all due respect, because you're talking two different languages there. You're talking just about us personally. Yes, they can say yes. Go to this go to this center. Go get your mammogram here. Make sure you're doing it. But some of them don't know those differences because it's not public knowledge. So sometimes it is talking to a girlfriend and having those conversations of, okay, great, you got your mammogram. Now where do you go? I will say, ever since my diagnosis, all of my girlfriends, every month, did you get your mammogram today? Nope. Did you get your mammogram today? Nope. Did you get your mammogram today? Nope. And I know it's yearly mammograms, so we literally have monthly checkpoints of like, are you guys on track? Is everybody on track and ready to go? Because it's opening that stigma to the conversation and opening that stigma to what this looks like, but it's also being open with each other and being open in rooms like this and being able to tell people this is what to look for and this is where to go and this is what to think of, because there are a multitude of things that come about in life after you hear those words. When you hear that C word, things change real quick, and you think you know the path, but the path I thought I was going to be going on, okay, great, we're going to do this, 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 and we're done. It took pivots, it took detours, it took U-turns, and it's still a journey I'm still going on.
Thank you. Yes, Cherie?
Yeah. In regards to mammograms, there are different types, and there's the 3D mammogram and the diagnostic mammogram. And so when I went for my mammograms, I would have 3D because I have dense breast tissue, but it was the diagnostic mammogram that caught the breast cancer. So that's something you want to really look into because your insurance covers different kinds. I would say the 3D, you can do it on your insurance. What does diagnostic, what does that look like? And that's
Right.
just something that saved me.
Wow.
So.
Thank you for that.
Just
yes,
one more
Carmen.
thing. I fought for, when I was in the world of community service and doing community outreach, many places had offered mammograms. And sometimes I would want to pull my hair up because women would want to go where it was convenient, close to home. And their machines were 100 years old, way behind. And it's like, no, come to the health. Now, it's not perfect. Health systems are not perfect, but they have money and they upgrade more often than maybe a small clinic would. And yes, that's convenient. It's right around the corner. It's where I always go. But don't always look at that. Ask questions. Those mammo techs I talked about, they know what that equipment is and what the new ones are. When 3D came out, there were places that women wouldn't go because they knew that their insurance might charge them a little bit more or do an upcharge. It's worth the money. It's more, not transparent, but it is more of what the latest technology is in finding those breast cancers early. So sometimes we have to put aside a little bit of convenience. Maybe you have to travel a little bit. And lately, one of the changes that the Well Woman program did, they were working out of Southside Health Center and Northside Health Center, and they were offering services directly to women that enrolled in the program. But they've always offered women to go to health systems that were in contract. They didn't have to go there. And in the last year or so, they stopped offering services, and women may have gotten that confused and thought that they were no longer offering the program, but they're sending them to their health partners. And so I'm happy about that because that means that they're getting better technology with their health system partners. Just know that they have more of the latest, and we want the latest. We deserve the latest.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you all for that. We are going to pivot and talk a bit about mental health and emotional wellness. Dr. Knox, what are the most common misconceptions about mental health in the Black community?
So one of the most common misconceptions about mental health in the Black community is that there's nothing wrong with us. We're just tired. We have to work twice as hard as Black women. You got to suck that up. It's going to be okay. Pray on it. Matter of fact, let's go to church on Sunday and all the Bible classes in between. The biggest misconception is that we do not experience mental wellness challenges. Also, one of the biggest misconceptions as far as in the medical field is the fact that it comes from a deficit medical model. So I'll give an example. If someone were to come up to you and be like, oh my God, are you sick? Are you all right? First thing we say is what? No, I'm good. If we were to say, oh my gosh, how well are you doing today? Be a different conversation, right? Same with mental illness and mental wellness. I coined the term many years ago. Mental wellness from the benefits model, meaning the ability to work, play, socialize, have relationships while effectively managing your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. What it does not say is without mental illness. So one of the biggest misconceptions is we do not experience mental health issues, and if we do, we're seen as less than. Big misconception, there are issues with mental health and wellness. There are diagnoses that we may have or undiagnosed. And also another misconception is you don't need medicine. All you need is a walk in the park, make sure you play with a puppy, get some sunlight, exercise, eat some root and beet, and make sure you go to church, when in fact, medication is also very helpful, has to be aligned with therapy.
Dr. Knox, how do women recognize that it's time to seek therapy? I mean, how do you know?
All right.
Without it being a traumatic event, right?
Yeah.
Like you lost a child, you lost a spouse, you know, you lost your parent that you've been caring for. You know.
Yes. Let me take a deep breath.
Let's do that with her.
In through the nose, out through the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
In through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time. In through the nose, out through the mouth. There's a method to my madness because I'm about to give an extensive list of how you should know and will know. Many times, it's all about recognition, recognizing what's going on here, here, and your gut. We are taught so many times in this culture to ignore our gut. Our gut is our God. Let's not ignore it. You always feel it. So here's some of the ways that you know that you're experiencing some type of mental health crisis or issue. You don't feel like being here anymore. Not necessarily, I want to kill myself right now, but I just don't want to be here anymore. And the world would be much better if I wasn't. My kids would be better, everyone would be better. Or I just want the pain to stop. Others, suicide attempts. Whether it be taking pills or high-risk behaviors, spending money that you don't have. Pato is your best friend, Potawatomi. Amazon is your boyfriend, and every time he pulls up, that's more money that you are spending. Wow. Also, that craving for that attention in any area. However, some of them are negative areas. How many of you have gotten that text or that phone call? WYD, what you doing? And you know good and well you shouldn't answer, but what do? Nothing. So that high-risk behavior, sexual behavior, high risk, being out and about, for instance, driving down Sherman and Titonia may seem high-risk behavior, but doing it on purpose at 80 miles an hour without thinking twice. Headaches, severe migraines, that memory loss that comes. You're trying to talk to a friend and you're like, you know her name. You just saw the person 2 seconds ago, they just walked away from you. Going into the kitchen, I thought I was here to get some mustard, but you come back with a ketchup, a knife, and a hammer, and Big Mama just asked you to get, a pot. Also, that dizziness, the lightheadedness, feeling faint, feeling nauseous, and you don't know where it comes from. The twitching here. You're just like, what is this going on? We get it once in a while because that's human, but it happens often. Heart palpitations, heart beating out of your chest, and you don't even understand why. Sometimes it's situational. Other times it's I'm washing dishes, looking out the window, and all of a sudden I have the hugest bout of fear that I've ever experienced. Something's going to happen wrong. I'm losing my breath. And then comes panic attacks. So increased symptoms of anxiety could be a sign that I need to go see somebody. The thoughts, intrusive thoughts of trauma, because people would love to ignore trauma or blame everything on trauma, when in fact it does play parts in your life. So distrusting others to a certain extent where you think no one is to be trusted, everyone is talking about me behind my back, and I'm just gonna stay in the house and isolate. So now I'm isolating. Now, perhaps I don't feel like getting out of bed. Sign of depression. I don't feel like taking a shower. I don't feel like doing these dishes. I have a whole hamper and or a clothing bench, which is supposed to be sitting on, or a bike exercise with clothes all over it. I'm sitting with the blinds down, the curtains down. I have a loss of appetite. I've lost so much weight. I am eating carbs and sugars and drinking my sweets, so now I'm gaining weight. Last but not least, audio and visual hallucinations. We as Black women do not like to talk about that because we don't want to be seen as crazy. But if you are hearing certain things that are not there, seeing certain things that are not there, if you don't realize it, but someone tells you this, these are just a small amount of signs that you may need to get some type of help. I would advise seeing your medical doctor too, because those gastrointestinal issues, diarrhea, constipation, those kind of things you'll never know. Something's going on, let me go to the doctor, when in fact, signs and symptoms of anxiety and depression. So those are just a few.
That was a lot.
That's why I said let's take a deep breath. And that's only a quarter, but I'm not going to scare anybody. I just want people to be prepared.
Well, again, I hope y'all are taking notes and recording some of this because you'll be able to walk away and do a self-inventory, right? To kind of take your own temperature of where you are in your mental health. And, it seems like, and I have a question for you, Cherie, next, okay? But it seems like after COVID or during COVID, just to have a conversation about our mental health because we were isolated, right? It just kind of level set the field, if you will, allow me to use that, for people to talk about how I feel, what I'm thinking, I'm lonely. In my case, I wasn't. I was happy to be home. Because my thinking was, I'm working every day, and I'm hardly at home. I'm only here to sleep. I'm not enjoying my home. But COVID just kind of helped me embrace my home better and really appreciate all the things I was doing to do that. But I did worry about my grandmother, who was, in her late 80s then, and always asking, even before COVID, for someone to come and visit her. And then now none of us could, and the phone call wasn't working when they're losing their hearing, right? So I appreciate you sharing all of that with us. Cherie, I want to ask you about storytelling and communication. How do they empower women to put their emotional well-being first?
I think it's different for everyone. I overshare. So I'm just putting it out there. All my friends know overshare. And when I was diagnosed the first time with breast cancer, I had my friends, my family, I had my truth family, and I was able to share that story on the radio. Mm-hmm. And for me, I felt like it was a calling so I can help others because the same stories are helping me.
Right, exactly.
And I feel like the power of storytelling can be very therapeutic at the same time. Because we all tell stories to our girlfriends, our spouses. If we're upset or something's not right at work, we go home and we complain all the time, right? But why not share what's good about your health and what could be bad about it as well, and it can help someone. So I started a YouTube channel. I'm going to plug YouTube at Cherie Harris 2025. And that second recurrence of metastatic breast cancer, I shared everything. I cried, I shared my anger, I shared my happiness, and I started to share my treatment. And when I realized that time of sharing helped one person, then it started to help another person. And then when I be in spaces like this, people would say, I watched your show, I watched your YouTube, or I saw you on Facebook. And I felt that was very helpful because I feel like cancer should not be taboo. It should not be something that should be a hidden conversation, especially metastatic, and I'm going to speak on metastatic breast cancer because if you don't talk about it enough, we're a forgotten community. Mm-hmm. And when you hear about stage 4, it's a forgotten community because they feel like there's a time bomb on that, and it's not. If we talk more about it, it becomes a common conversation as like getting your hair done. It becomes a common conversation about your blood pressure medication because you're taking medication to treat the cancer, to keep it at bay. So why is that taboo to talk about? Right. And then you share that conversation and that treatment with others so then they could talk to their oncologist about it, and maybe it can help them with their next doctor's appointment. So that's why I feel the power of storytelling is critical because you're helping someone when you're sharing everything. And it's not for everybody. Like I said, I overshare, but just sharing a little bit, you never know, it can go a long way.
Well, that's because you're a communicator.
Oh,
I wouldn't say
yes,
you overshare.
Yes, I'm a communicator.
We just like talking.
Yes.
Yes. And when we have information, we do want to share it. And so I want each of you ladies to share with us what simple daily practice do you use to strengthen your balance, your well-being, your mental, your emotional health. I'll start with Dr. Knox, so she's the professional, and I'm gonna give you all a moment to think about that. She probably has a portfolio, a whole library of stuff, just a great inventory of things that she can pull up.
Well, and this is for our own selves, right?
Yes.
So even though I'm a mental wellness expert, we all know the term of Dr. Heal Thyself. We don't do the best job all the time. However, I have found on the daily what helps is, and it may sound cliche, I just need me some nature. I need the sun, even if it's cloudy, the clouds are white. I need a breeze, even if I have to drive or walk really fast so it just hits my face. Movement helps me so much, and the breathing exercise I just taught, in through the nose, out through the mouth, I could do that any time of day. I can do it when folks are on my nerves. I can do it when I'm feeling happy. I can do it when Hillside wants to pop out of my whole soul. All the above. I love spending time with my family, and some would think their family is quite stressful, but hanging out with my mom, who's right there, my husband and friends, it just brings me joy, probably because I am an extreme extrovert. And finally, I just love to dance. I will brush my teeth dancing. I will run around the room dancing. I'll dance in the car. Folks have honked the horn and been like, and it doesn't matter what kind of music, but those are the things that I tend to use. And most importantly, prayer. Even while I was sitting up here and praying for each of us, prayed for myself when we were here, I felt the prayers of others. Hey, all the things. So those are some of the things that I use.
Thank you, Dr. Knox. Carla?
So the one thing I need every day, and if I don't do it, I really feel discombobulated. I need my early morning shower. I'm alone, nobody's bothering me, and with my mom there, I really value that time. So that's
good.
that's my big thing.
That's good.
It's my shower in the morning,
That's good.
every day. I don't care how cold it is, and sometimes it can be below zero, and she's like, "You taking a shower?" Yes, I am. You know, she is one of those believers that doesn't want to go out when it's too cold.
Yeah. Cherie?
There's a couple things that I do. I do water yoga every Sunday. It's a religion, so that's my church. I praise the Lord and namaste in the water. I have to have my water yoga, and now I do that on Sundays and Thursdays. So water is therapeutic for me. I call that my therapy. Because then when I coin that, that means I'm forced to go. And so that's what I do. And then I have a puppy named Bruno. Yes, I'm making life choices every day at 6 a.m. But he saved me. I have to say he saved me. He's a cutie. So now I have something to take care of. I think when I have something to take care of, then I feel better about my day.
That's good.
Yeah. The WAC in Menominee Falls. Yeah. Yes. 8:30 a.m. Mary Jane is her name.
Adrian?
So for me, I think I need quiet time. And when I say quiet time, for me, it's usually taking my dogs for a walk or going to the gym or something. I've learned that my day-to-day can be so go, taking care of, tens of thousands of women in Waukesha County, taking care of my employees, taking care of my family, taking care of all these things. I need about 30 minutes of quiet time for me. And what that is, if that's going to the gym and running on a treadmill, if that is walking around the block with my dogs, whatever that is for me. I also think music is therapeutical, personally. I think music is therapy. And sometimes it's just taking a breath in the middle of a day, shutting my door, turning on a song, and just becoming that song for a minute and being like, okay, now we're gonna go.
All good. All great suggestions. I have to do the water thing, though. Yeah. I have to try the water.
floaties, so you won't drown. We're buoyant.
Okay.
We're very buoyant people.
How many of us are thinking about our hair?
I do have several links for swim caps for black
Okay,
girls.
there
and
we
hair.
go. There we go. Let me just ask, before we move on to our next subject of physical and maternal health. Are there any questions so far that you all have for our panelists? Okay. Oh, yes.
When you guys spoke of barriers for the mammograms and detecting the breast cancer, one barrier would be the mental health. There is a huge barrier for mental health and the resources for people to get to a therapist to help them with that mental stress that they're having. You know, I think a lot of things that we are faced with day to day, we are a group of PTSD people, and just having a therapist and doing regular mental checks, even if you don't think anything is wrong with you, because you might find out, well, it might have been, but that barrier will be finding that therapist that maybe look like me, that I might feel like will understand me or can understand what I'm going through to kind of help me document. So just that resource of finding that that therapist would be a huge barrier.
I am so glad you said that. I was going to figure out a way to put it in, but thank you, sis. So you are absolutely right. We tend to treat therapy as though it's an emergency crisis. When something is wrong, I go see a therapist, when in fact, with dentists, none of you want your fingers to fall out your mouth, so you go 2 times a year. When it comes to checkups at the doctor, 2 times a year. When it comes to STD testing and all the other things, oh, I broke my leg, we'll go. However, when it comes to mental wellness, the therapist is there to support you and to start your journey on mental wellness. Also, a therapist can pair with you and partner with you to assist you in seeing, you know what, there's some stuff going on. And so as far as you even wanting to go to the doctor, this is where it may stem from. Doctors don't have enough time in their schedules to figure out the issue of why someone won't want to go to the doctor, why someone does not want a mammogram, why someone says, well, my grandma passed away from it, but I'm not claiming it. Those kind of things. So you're absolutely right. The one thing is the stigma, making sure that we treat mental wellness differently. It is not a luxury. It is your right and responsibility, just like going to that dentist. Number 2, you are absolutely right about therapists that look like us. In our Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in our United States, as well as in the world, there are only 4% of us that are African American. There's only 1% African American male. So when you talk to people about, I need a black therapist, there are many of us in this community, but we're communal people, so we have to talk about it. We've always been word of mouth people. There's some advertisement, some social media, but I have my pulse on a whole list of them. There's something called the Black Clinicians. Look them up on FB, social media, Instagram. They will have a list, and some of the therapists like myself will be like, hey, can anyone see an African-American woman who was just diagnosed with breast cancer who has 3 kids, and they have United? There you go. So that's number 1. Also, FQHCs, Federally Qualified Health Centers, they offer medical treatment, but at the same time, part of their medical appointment is a behavioral health consultation. And so with that behavioral health consultation, they're included in those appointments without being charged extra, 10 to 20 minutes. We have 16th Street Health Center. We have Progressive. We have, there's more, Hillside. And if anyone else knows of any more, I know of all of them right here. Yes.
I know I went through the Loveland Foundation.
Yes.
They give you 4 free vouchers for therapy, and then also the Open Path Collective gives you I think like $25, $30 a session.
Yes, thank you. And then finally, I'm a co-founder of Black Space HQ, where we provide free group therapeutic experiences for Black and brown men, Black and brown women, and Black and brown LGBTQIA+ communities, which means it's free. We take care of basic needs first, because you cannot possibly pay attention to your mental wellness if you're hungry. So we will have food there. Our caveat is it has to be in safe and beautiful spaces, because we deserve penthouse suites too.
Yes.
And finally, it has to be a safe space. So it takes a bit of research, but also you have a whole room of people here who may have some of those as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you all. We're going to move our conversation along now. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. That's my mentor, Dr. Kweku. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. And part of that is because we can never dictate when someone is ready to deal with a trauma and or if they even recognize it. So the best thing to do is support and to listen. And when the time comes, or if the time comes, hey, I got Tuesday, you got Tuesday off. All right, I'll be glad to go. Well, I'll go with you so we can see what we can do, or so I can sit in there with you, or what have you. And if it is a black or brown therapist, they do recognize natural resources. They will not kick someone out the room that you consider a friend, a play cousin, or a partner. And then you go from there. But mainly, we should be listening more than speaking, and they'll be ready at some point. We'll just have to listen to those cues. I'm sorry, your hand.
Thank you.
With along the same line, how do you nudge someone when you know they're struggling?
You listening. And also we have to remember, it is not our job to nudge anyone. Our job is to sit and listen attentively, and then when the person says something like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do, we can figure it out together. I think I have a couple of friends, which when you call them, they'll become your friends, that might be able to help. Or if you know someone that looks like them that may be able to help, I want to introduce you to somebody when you're ready. But until then, here's a list. Can I sit here and call with you? We can maybe call 2 people today. That way, it's not nudging. You are partnering with them, you're listening to them, and you're listening to that time where you can just boop, pop in, and pop back out.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So, do we know if a lot of the occurrences of breast cancer currently are environmental? Is it hereditary? Like, what is the commonality in occurrence with breast cancer? Black women.
We don't have enough time to talk about that one. And I think that's, I think there's lots of different hypotheses on that right now. My diagnosis, I had 0 family history. Everything came back negative for genetics. So I think there's some things to talk about with environments. I think there's things to talk about technology. I think there's things to talk about with genetics. I think that's a bigger conversation that the healthcare community doesn't have the answers to fully yet. I think we have smart people out there that are looking for those and being able to help with, how can we continue to look further? One of the best studies I've read was utilizing AI to be able to look and detect patterns of calcifications, patterns of, what would become a mass before it became a mass, and being able to utilize that and being able to look back on like past studies and how do we better predict what's going to happen early versus when it gets later. But I don't know if in my personal opinion, I don't think we're there yet. I hope we get there sometime, but the recurrences of breast cancer continue to get greater. And, I think growing up, even young adulthood, even stage of life right now, I got told I had breast cancer and I was like, what the heck? Like who? No, oh my, I'm the only one. Nobody. And it's me talking about my journey and talking to other people about what's happened to me, put a blog out there, similar to Cherie, just putting stuff out there. Then you hear, oh, this person and this person had breast cancer, can you help them? This person has breast cancer, can you help them? This person has breast cancer, can you help them? And making it, again, not sound as scary as I have a ticking timeline on my head right now, and you're looking at it walking down the hall, but this is what happened to me, and this is the resources I took, and this is what you're feeling is normal. What, the angry, the scared, the happy, I don't want to tell anybody. It's all normal. And I think the more that conversations like this continue to happen, the more it becomes accepted into every community.
Carla, did you have something you wanted to add?
Not really. I totally agree. That's why it sounds like a slogan that we've been saying forever, early detection. Early detection. That's because that's what we've got right now. So, and many times when you're diagnosed, some women spend a lot of time trying to figure it out. How did I get it? I'm not saying you're wasting time, but you gotta just get through treatment and do what you need to do. But early detection is the message still. And research.
Thank you. Sure.
I'm Dr. Ramona Furry, and I am a researcher of cultural and racial disparities as it relates to Black women. And when I heard it earlier about the inadequate technology, let's just say, looking at the research, Black, brown women, Native American women are more likely to go to these facilities that has the 2D technology instead of the 3D, and certainly not the diagnostic. Even though they're going to get early detection. The researchers are going to get these mammograms, but where they're going is still not adequate equipment, so their mortality rate for the women that look like us, me, is still higher because of that. So how do we get to that foot of that the inequity in technology that is still killing us?
Any thoughts?
Well, one of the steps, again, we weren't in agreement. We were mad in the community when Well Woman stopped doing those clinics, the North Side Clinic and and South Side clinics. But they had poor technology. And so they forced them now to go to the health facilities that have the 3D. So that was a forced thing, and we were angry about it because the convenience is gone. But things like that will help, because then you're going to one place where you can get your screening, and then if you need to go back for a diagnostic, you can go back there to the same place. If you need a biopsy, go back to the same place instead of bouncing around or getting lost in the midst of things. So I think that was a help, but again, the community initially thought that was a poor decision, and we're angry. So that's one step, is to say, no, we're not gonna try and find a radiologist that can even still read these machines. That was one of the issues. It was that outdated, okay? So that's those, and have your pulse on what's latest. There may be a 4D coming out, I don't know, I'm just saying. Yeah, AI, so we need to know the pulse too. When it comes in research and journals and they talk about it on the news, find out about it. And then when you go to your place, say, hey, I heard there's a 4D. Do you guys have that? Right. Do you have it yet? Is it coming?
Ask the question.
Ask the question.
Keep building that relationship with your physicians, all of them. Yes. No matter where you have to go. You should have a good relationship with someone that sees your breasts.
Right. That memo tag.
For real. Yes. You know? Yes. Your teeth. Your dentist. Ask the questions. You have to build that relationship with all of your physicians. We do it with our pediatricians, those of us that have children. We ask those tough questions, but when it comes to us, we just take the information and we go on about our business. No, you're building this lifelong relationship with your physicians. It's called practicing medicine for a reason, and you can practice right along with them.
Yeah,
okay?
also
I was
add
going
to
to ask you
that.
the same thing. I was adding here too.
Can I add to that? Just want you to know, just in case you don't, because culturally we've been told what to do, and the experts seem to not look like us, and that's what we've been taught from eons ago. You are the head of your treatment.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Let's say it together. I am the head of my treatment. You have to come into places knowledgeable. You want to buy something on Amazon, that swimsuit, you looked at 97,000 reviews. So when it comes to your treatment, you have to be knowledgeable. Thank you so much, good doctor, because AI, folks out here, I'm scared of AI. Are you kidding me? You better take it by the lasso and make it work for you.
Right.
If you see some things that you're like, oh, this is mystical, that can't be happening, ask your doctor. If you are in a space and your gut is telling you something's wrong, well, oh, all you need is for me to feel your stomach. Nope, I need an MRI, a LMNOP, QRS, TV, and WXYZ.
Right.
And if your insurance covers it, it covers it, but you also have to know what specialist to ask for, what therapist to ask for, counselor, therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist, nurse practitioner. Get in that phone like we scroll, and you scroll for things that'll help your life, because you are the head. And if in fact someone says, well, no, I don't think we need to do that, I think I do. And if you're not able to, can you please refer me to someone else, or I'll be glad to do
Right.
the same in this network.
Right. Don't be scared.
So just want to say, be bold about your business.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can I add one more thing,
Thank
Faye?
you, ladies.
Can I
Yes.
pop in one more thing?
Yes.
So one more thing, and I think we've talked about it without talking about it. We've heard, get your mammogram, get your mammogram, get your mammogram. And the space that I'm in every day, I can't tell you how many times I go out in the communities and I hear, oh, you work for Moreland OBGYN, that's great, I already have my babies, I don't need you. To hell if you don't need me. You need me more.
Yeah.
And we talk about mammograms, we talk about all these things, but do you know what? Your gynecologist is gonna give you that preventative care. She's gonna check he or she is gonna check your breast every year for you. You're gonna have that support there. So we're talking about, a lot of get your mammograms, get these things, but that care from, hypothetically 30s to 40s, you're not getting that care during that time. And I cannot stand tall enough on this soapbox of preventative care saves lives. And it's not just the mammogram, but it's also going in for your well woman exam. It's also going in for your well man exam. And it's going in and being intentional, because they're gonna be able to see those little changes that happen in a year that you're not gonna be able to notice, because it's just become normal to us. So, besides the technologies, beyond all this, preventative care, you need to see your physician, you need to see your gynecologist, your family practitioner, past babies.
Adrienne, I want you to keep the mic, because I think past babies is a great transition to a very tough conversation about maternal mortality rates for Black women. They remain high.
Yes.
What are the underlying causes that you see in your
Antepartum care.
experience?
So I think it goes back to my previous conversation of access to care and making it so women can go and see a physician, because you need that antepartum care. I think both of those things really correlate very well, and one leads to the other. Again, you need to be able to have a physician. Hopefully insurance is going to be able to help get you through this. But then you also have to be able to see those physicians, not just when you give birth, because there's so many critical things that can happen between conception and birth. And so many critical things that we as Black women are more susceptible to. I think the Williams sisters, one of them talked about it, about preeclampsia, and about no, this is happening, just like Dr. Knox said. It's about really understanding your body, and no, this doesn't feel right. Pick up the phone and call. It's okay to do those things. I feel like as a community, not just a Black community, just society as a whole, we don't want to call our doctor, because what if it's nothing? And I just paid that $500 ER visit to be told that I'm fine, even though I felt my chest coming out of my heart coming out of my chest all afternoon. Be okay. It's okay for somebody to say that's normal and that's okay. But I feel like as a community and as a society, we are too fearful to ask those questions. So it's asking the questions, it's being intentional about that, and it's getting that care beforehand. You're taking care of your baby. You're taking care of the love of your life. Be intentional about that piece too. And I keep on seeing your hand up.
Yeah. Well, I think with medicine too, the biases in medicine, right? Even as students are being taught on their path to being doctors. But what I learned from close friends and just us as a circle, if you're open with your friends, when you can't advocate for yourself, one of your people will step up.
Yes, they will.
I've had, not cancer or anything like that, but other issues, and closest friends spent the night in the hospital with me when my family couldn't. Had the conversations with the doctor. What kind of anesthesia? How long should she be out for? What's this, what's that, whatever. So your friends, you know, and even with the mental health, they know how you are. They know the dramatic, I gotta remove my nylons, my pantyhose versus real life dramatics.
Yes.
And sometimes it takes your friends kind of grabbing you and shaking you and being like, what's going on? Like the gentle nudges are cute, but sometimes it takes someone who really knows you to be like, now what are we gonna do? Because you need to do something, because this isn't you. And I've been pushed through that, like, by Cherie. I've done it for Cherie. Like, you need those people in your life, but they can't be that if we're not open with somebody.
Yes.
And that's the thing, we're so used to, I'm strong, I got it, I can handle it, I just need 5 more hours in the day, you know, and it's just not possible, we're not superhuman.
We don't, so we have 24 hours in a day, but we're trying to do everything with, in 10 hours, right? And we don't use sleep as a way to get better. I'm an advocate of NAPS, so
Me
I
too.
believe in NAPS.
Me too. I'm taking one when I leave here.
Right, we have to do that, but we try to be all things to all people. And I watched the Channel 4 news with Tanette and you on there, and the one thing that stood out for me is when we don't have it together, our family doesn't have it together.
Right.
So Tanette mentioned that, like, if we're not healthy, our family's not healthy, and it becomes a domino effect. And that's the same thing, I think, with friendships, too. We can't cure our friends if we're going through troubles ourselves.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, I believe all the things of mental health,
All the things.
and NAPS included.
My daughter, when she was graduating from college, it was an exciting time, but it's also a very stressful time. Philadelphia, I'm living in Milwaukee. I'm trying to cross the T's, dot the I's here. I'm trying to make sure she's going to enjoy everything that she is. I get on the plane, and I could hardly breathe. I know I left some stuff. I know I didn't bring some stuff. And it hit me. Now, that was many years ago, but this is something I want all of us to remember. On the airplane, when the flight attendant is giving you those emergency techniques, giving you directions of what happens in case of an emergency, they say when that oxygen mask comes down, put it on yourself first before the person next to you, even if that's your child. You cannot help anybody around you unless you have helped yourself first. And so when my mom and daddy stressing me out, I go, okay, I gotta pull down the mask for faith so that I can be a respectable daughter and remember my place while I'm trying to have these tough conversations or navigate any, situation in life. So thank you for that reminder, Cherie. Appreciate that. Carla, what do you think that women can do as it relates to infant mortality rates in addressing their health?
Infant mortality rates is something that Milwaukee has, I would say, come a long way. I have a dear friend who's worked in that space with young mothers for many years, and we recently were told that they put out a list every year of rating of where the infant mortality rates are, and she recently learned that in the state of Mississippi they have surpassed us, and she is dying to get to Mississippi. She's not a Mississippi girl, or she was born and raised here, and wants to try to get some of the things that she did here with working with young women to just educate and to train them and get them to get prenatal care early and not at the time of birth almost. And just that education, because over the years, she's seeing that there's a lot of giveaways and a lot of showers and a lot of things like that. But she says, okay, it's time for us to back off a little bit. Not that we can celebrate that if one child dies early, that's not what we want. But we've done a lot of work. She feels like she's done a lot of work in that space. And now it's time to give back and look beyond just Milwaukee, but where this infant mortality is. And just we've talked to young women in their 30s and 40s when they're pregnant, even educated women, and see that infant mortality can happen or during prenatal care. And I've even seen some TV shows that have shown how women don't speak up when they know they're giving birth, and even during the birth process if something's not feeling right, and they need to speak more to their providers. We've done doulas now are in the community to help with young mothers and giving them the power and strength to speak up about their own health care as well as their child's health care. So we've done a lot of work, Sabbath Sundays for babies, young babies. So I've seen a lot in the community. I'm not saying that we, again, can celebrate that, phew, we've done it.
Right.
But there are other states that are starting to surpass, and we're starting to go down because we were pretty high on that list for years. But Faith, something I would like to share, another resource that I don't know that we in this community, in Milwaukee community, is aware of. In Madison, the Wisconsin Women's Health Foundation, Sue Ann Thompson started this organization, and they've done a lot of work in the space of women's health over many years. And they have, and I did not know about this until I was preparing for this program, they have now done what I consider a 211 for women's health, a 211 number. But they've gone beyond that. They say, if you have questions, we find answers. It's called Well Badger Resource Center. Anybody know about that? Okay, one lady. All right. They say, ask us about child health, financial assistance, health care coverage and services, mental health, nutrition services, pregnancy and parenting help, substance use disorders, and more. And they're using technology. Our younger women use technology. They'll get on their phones in a minute. So they have the phone, they have a website, but they also answer text. They also answer email and live chats. And they have a QR code for online directory. So they are doing it, but we got to get the word out that it's here. It's for the whole state. It's not just for Madison. So this is a phenomenal resource. Gail Johnson, who is the 31-year program director, has partnered with them and given money to help with that because she wants to get the word out. Things and landscapes change, people change jobs, and some things that resources that people were used to being and having are no longer. Years ago, but even before I moved here, there was the first mammogram van that was going around the city, and that's been retired, and they've used it for education, and now it's probably really retired. And then other systems started with mammogram coaches, and all of that's gone now. So things keep changing, but people need answers. They need a one-stop shop, and everybody knows who 211 is. Right. Am I saying it correctly, 211?
Yes, you are.
So
yes,
this is another 211 resource for many things related to women's health that people need to know. And I certainly hope they have the Black clinicians listed in that directory. Okay, awesome. So thank you. Please, I have more information with me if you want to just do the QR code, get the phone number, the website, something, but share it. We need to know it's out there.
We do. Thank you so much, Carla. Dr. Knox, before we go on to the next discussion and topic and begin to wrap up our togetherness and sisterhood and friends and family in the community today. I want to ask you, how can women feel respected and heard from a mental health perspective, given all of our health issues, no matter what it is, but particularly because a woman is pregnant, but her whole family is also pregnant, right? They're also expecting.
Yes.
Yeah. So how can we balance that, our well-being, our mental well-being in that space?
So how an expecting mom can balance their well-being within that space? Number one, I can't say it enough, be knowledgeable. If you have to research things, if you have to ask mothers, as Black people, we're griots. We tell stories. We pass our stories along from generation to generation. When we listen to those stories, it helps. However, many of us are not even telling the stories. Childbirth is so natural and beautiful. I've not seen that one time.
No, it's not.
It's such a joy being a mom.
I never glowed one time.
Rarely do I
not one
see
time.
a mom 100% of the time being so joyful about it. It's a challenge, but it's well worth it from what I do here. Also, when it comes to health. Oh, you're so glowing. You look so beautiful. How are you managing so well? Every single thing that person just said is an assumption. People hurt. People have headaches. Some people don't even know if they want to keep the pregnancy. Others are like, this happened due to trauma, and I don't even want to be here with this. So what I would say is, number one, please just research as much as you can about what's going on with you. And that's just not the pregnancy, because you are not your pregnancy. It's
right.
about what happened in my family. How was my mom with me? Was there a father figure around? Do I have a bed to sleep in? How was my partner? Is he or she abusive? Those kind of things. Once you're able to kind of see those things at the same time, because this is not one at a time, it's all in tandem. That's just what our life is. Be assertive. You have to be able to say, this hurts, or I have a sister who lost 3 babies, or I am very, very scared because I just feel inside that something is not right and something's not gonna go the way I would like it to go. Also, to be heard is, and you named it, by having friends and family members. I have a doctor buddy, forced upon me, my mother, but I have a doctor buddy. But then, of course, I always say, I'm never going to grow up to be like that. And now I am my friends' doctor buddies. Some things they don't know, but I will, I have it all right here. If they're going to Texas, I'm with you too. Keep me on the phone. I can go in by myself. If you hang up, there's going to be one. Okay. So now I can tell signs and symptoms that they're not even noticing, because we are friends. We're all observant, and it's hard for us to look outside of ourselves. Please be a listening ear and be supportive. We can't say don't judge, because all of us judge. That's the way of our survival here. But what we can say is listen, be there, and show empathy. Put yourself in that person's shoes so that when you are there for them, you can hear, I don't want to be here anymore. You can feel, okay, I'm having the hardest time in my life. And last but not least, you may hear, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I just don't want to die, and I want my baby to be okay. That's when, as a community, we step in, but as a person, we have to reach out, and that was mentioned earlier, too.
Thank you, Dr. Knox. I want you to hold the mic, keep the mic, because this next question is for you. You can probably get us all comfortable talking about sexual health.
Absolutely, let's do it.
Because when we started talking about it, we all was like, whoa, okay, we're gonna have that conversation in public? Sexual health? Okay.
Yes, we are.
All right. How can we normalize open conversations about sexual health without stigma?
How can we have sexual conversations without stigma out loud?
Mm-hmm.
So let's start here. All of us know this
Y'all
song.
ready?
We're just gonna sing the first verse. Let's talk about sex, baby. Talk about you and me. Wait, we're not on the same page. 1, 2, 3. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Now, first of all, we got here somewhere. I used to say that I came by the store because I never wanted to picture my mom in that space. Do not give me a whooping. Not that she ever whooped me before in life. So when we talk about sex, number one, it is natural. And we have taught our youth in some odd way that is something that should be kept secretive, something that is nasty, something that is alluring, and it puts you in a negative state of mind. And now we have what we have here today. We would like to say, what's wrong with them kids? I would like to say, what's wrong with us? Because we brought them right up, right the way they are. So when talking about sex, the first thing that you can do is put your own self at ease. Do you know when you show up in spaces, people can tell if you are uncomfortable, if you are angry, if you're disgusted. It's okay to talk about things in a sexual way that doesn't have to be offensive. And if in fact you do offend someone, they'll be okay. I have never known of one person that died off of offense, because we all still here. So when we talk about sex, we can start from an educational point of view. The one golden question that should never be asked, so are you having sex? They're running for the hills. They're not going to say anything. It's going to be a bad thing. So, well, you know, when I started having sex, crickets, because we would all like to say, we don't want to talk about that. That's never happened. But are you liking? When I started to have sex at this age, so on and so forth. When I had this baby, or I don't have children yet, but I had a miscarriage at this time and date and age. Sometimes it is revisiting the trauma that we may not want to, which therapy and groups of friends are good for, to get that out. So when you put the onus on you're opening up. People will respond better when you're opening up. When I worked at the clinic and one of my best friends was diagnosed with HIV, I was really devastated, but I looked at them first and wondered what was going on. Have you ever had a friend that was diagnosed? Yes or no? Wow. I know that had to be harmful. Have you been tested? Because I get tested every 3 months. So what you do in these conversations about sex, whether it's pregnancy, whether it's same sex, whether it's heterosexual sex, whether it's I have been trafficked before and this is how I feel about sex, all the above, it has to start with I. It has to start with I. Be vulnerable, be transparent. I'm not saying you have to talk about all the things and where your legs were and all that, not at all. But what I am saying is that you can speak about it in a way where folks can understand and then allow them, even welcome them, to tell their own stories while you're there to help.
Thank you, Dr. Knox. Cherie, speaking of storytelling, let me phrase it this way. How does media represent how women view our bodies and our self-image?
Ooh, okay, that's a deep. Okay.
She might need both mics.
Self-image, media. I think we have a responsibility to be open and honest and transparent about who we are and the stories that we tell.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to self-image, we see a lot of negativity out there about women and how we're portrayed and how we should be, and years ago how we should dress and how we are now with our kids and how we speak to them and how now they're growing up to be young ladies. I'm appalled in one way because the media's out there, social media, everything that portrays who we are, and we're not that, but then we gravitate to it anyway, and we watch it, and then we televise it, and then we share it, and we overshare it, and that's a problem. So in the media, we have to exercise responsibility, and I think that's hard because we answer to another power, and we don't own our stations. There's only one that does in Milwaukee, but I feel like unless we have ownership of our media and what we do, and have ownership of what that is, I think we can portray ourselves in a better way. But it's hard when we answer to another power. So we have to fight within, We have to fight within the culture and the people that we serve to say, this is not the story I want to share. This is not how I want us to be portrayed. And we have to have the backing of our team to make sure that that voice is said and is viewed in a different way. And I personally have gone through that struggle at the station I worked at, because they want us to share stories and portray us in a different light, and they feel the black is, they fantasize the black culture. And they fantasize women in general, and that's the truth. And we had to fight in our station to share our stories authentically and unapologetically.
Right.
And I think we still do, but that is hard to do. So unless you're willing to fight and continue to fight, and I ask that you do, you make an impact, and hopefully the powers that be will listen. Otherwise, we're going to have to penny up our resources and buy our own.
There we
That's
go.
just it. We have
There
to
we
do
go.
it.
Absolutely. And so, Cherie, a follow-up question is, how can the viewers and listeners help you, help communicate what's best in terms of how we are viewed and what's talked about, what's shown?
They need to communicate that to us. I think our audience.
We can't be bystanders.
Right. We just can't sit there and complain about what's being said about us and what's being shown. We have to submit letters. I mean, people speak, right? They have a whole lot to say, but no action to back that up. So you need the action to back it up. Show up at the station. Show up at the TV station. Speak to the general manager and say, I disagree with what you have televised about our community. I disagreed with what you have said on the radio about our community. You have to continue to show up at events and speak to the people at B, because they're there and they're watching from afar, and they will get tired of hearing us complain to the point where they have to make change. And then we, as people who are in the station, have to follow up with the change. We can't just sit there and be bystanders ourselves.
Right.
That's how you're going to make an impact. So,
Thank you.
yeah. I could go on.
Carla, what does sexual health empowerment mean for Black women? I think I'd like for each of you to answer that question.
Say it one more time for me.
What does sexual health empowerment mean for Black women?
I'm a little torn because maybe I'm a little bit more conservative, but when I see women, let's say on social media, who want to dress a little bit more provocative, and they may feel that they're comfortable in their skin, and maybe that's empowerment for them, but I want us to be all comfortable in our skin, but I think that I draw a line at some of the things that I see, and I'm not really sure where it comes from, but I mean, of course, again, media. It's seen our entertainers, our people who we look to, music and actors and actresses, all of those things you see, and so we, in the community, we will then copy what we see. But there is a way to be empowered and be comfortable, or be, I just say comfortable in who you are, and show that without showing so much. I'll just put it that way. There's a way to do it without us seeing everything.
Right.
You know, your whole birthday suit and outfits and things like that. And so, you know, some people thought it was a little crazy to leave a healthcare system to go to MPS, our schools. And I said the first year I was there, we were on the news probably every other day. And they're like, you're at MPS? Are they gonna be all right? You know, and I really felt like I had my own personal reasons for doing it, but it was a calling. Our children need to see good examples.
Exactly.
Professional examples of what they can look, someone that looks like them, someone looks like their parents, but that can dress appropriately, and they can't help where they're growing up and what they see, and coming to school in the middle of the day with your just whatever. We know what it looks like, and I just make an intentional purpose to be that example for them. Yes. They need us. I am examples even for the parents. Mm-hmm. Whether they take it or not, it's okay, but it's for the children, and I feel like that's what we need to be examples for. So I don't know if I answered your question or not.
I think you did, because there's a village concept that we're talking about
absolutely.
Here, and Dr. Knox mentioned just a little while ago, well, we raise them. We raise our kids, right? Mm-hmm. That direct one-on-one, but also we raise our kids. Yeah. So we have to be the example that we want to see around us, and educate our children on giving them something else to think about. There's another option, right? There are more options. Yes. So I think you answered the question. Y'all want to give her a hand? She answered the question. Cherie, what are your thoughts on what does sexual health empowerment mean for Black women?
I think it means a lot of things. I have two young ladies, I raised 23 and 20. And I taught to them about sex early in an age, because I didn't want a teacher to tell them what sex is mm-hmm. and what it all meant and all the things they could learn outside of the house. It's a lot that we don't understand anymore. Mm-hmm. But sexual empowerment, I feel like it, being comfortable in your own skin, just being confident of who you are as a woman and how you identify. And that it could offend some people in some ways, mm-hmm. but you look the other way sometimes. Mm-hmm. I feel like sexual empowerment is ever evolving. In the 90s, it was more about us speaking out, putting it in our rap lyrics, being in the videos, and we were out there. The twerking was different, and it was the butterfly.
It was the butterfly.
It was the butterfly. And we were in it. I mean, we can't avoid that. It was the butterfly. And we went to the Freak Day. Thank God I was not in that 93 video.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we were in it. And now in 2025, it's different. So, understanding what the difference is in sexual empowerment, then I feel like we can educate our young women to be better in the long run. You got to meet them where they're at.
You do have to meet them where they are. Thank you. Dr. Knox, what does sexual health empowerment for Black women mean?
Sexual empowerment for Black women, for me, would look like young women being confident in who they are, being assertive, but at the same time, knowing that they are so worthy. They are worthy of safety, their own safety. They're worthy of protection, their own protection. Whether it's a condom, whether it's saying no, whether it's, okay, it looks good, but you still can't have any, or perhaps I really want to, but let me take the right steps and measurements in order to do this in a way that makes me feel comfortable first. Put me first. Even if putting me first is recognizing who my higher power is. My parents, my village, my nieces, my nephews, all the above, because as Black women, we are sown that from the day we were born. Black women and empowerment and sex and sexuality is being that person that says, even though I wear this or you think of me in this way, that's fine with you and no disrespect, but can you let me know in your words so I can understand what is it that offends you about me and how I'm moving at this time? We don't have these conversations. We're either offended by it or it repulses us, and never is the conversation had. At times, I remember even just walking down the streets, being on the bus stops, whatever, and a young lady, I mean beautiful, like, woo, and the outfit and everything, and I was like, if I had all that, promise I would. So I remember asking her, I said, you are absolutely gorgeous. I started off with a compliment. from a woman to a young black woman. She said, "Thank you so much." And then she started tugging at her clothes because, number one, she probably had not been complimented. I found out within that 15 minutes standing there, she hadn't. Number two, she started to say, "Well, usually people judge me for how I'm dressed and they think I'm a hoe, but I'm not." And I'm like, "Well, I never thought that about you. Tell me why you think they think that." Because either I've been told or I feel that way. And then it went on and on. But that conversation of a compliment, seeing the resilience in our young women who are still standing strong in the midst of social media, in the midst of rape, in the midst of trauma, all of those things, we play a part in the healthiness of their sexuality. And we have to take responsibility for that. One question, one compliment, one "I love you, baby girl," without even having to say it. And all of us know. I came in this room and I got so many "I love you, baby girls," and people didn't even say it to me. So that is what I feel is going to be one of the hugest things you can do as far as making sure that a black woman, starting from a black child, is welcomed into that world of sexuality.
Yeah, that's good. Adrian, what does sexual health empowerment mean for black women to you?
I think we've touched on it some, and I think the first thing that came to my mind was education. You know, we talked about how the stigma is of talking about sex. I say the word vagina, everyone cringes. Say the word nipple, everybody cringes. We all got them, but everybody cringes. So I think education is a really big thing to that when I think about sexual health empowerment. And I also think that, you know, the generation that I grew up in California, you know, we didn't have a black Barbie doll. It took a long time to get a black Barbie doll. We didn't have all these things, and being able to not compare yourself to the person next to you. Being able to have that confidence, but know that there's different skin tones, there's different races, and everybody looks differently. And that's okay. It's empowering yourself to know that you are you. And we got hair down there. Ain't nobody want to say it. It's true. That's okay. I think that's what I see when I think about like sexual health empowerment for black women is empowering yourself to understand your body, and your body is yours, and it's uniquely yours, and it doesn't have to look like yours, look like anybody else's, and it's feeling confident in your skin and knowing that what your body looked like when you're 18 to what it looked like when it's 20, to look like post-kids, for me, what it looks like post-mastectomy. It's a whole different body. It's a whole different body to try to be confident in and feel loved in, but also feel sexy in as well, too. So I think it's a very great question, but I think a lot of it comes about that education piece of it and feeling comfortable saying uncomfortable words.
Thank you. Thank you all. I'd like to open it up again, once again, for questions. Yes.
It's with Dr. Knox. So we talk about being aware and informed in front of like our healthcare professionals. I'm finding a hard time sometimes. I think I'm informed. I think I'm a pretty good advocate for myself. But sometimes there are instances where I feel like the higher we go up to a specialist, the more unkind they are. And it shakes you, you know, sometimes in those moments. I think that I try to tell myself it's okay to get a second opinion, but then sometimes it's like, well, I don't want to have to go through this again. Specifically for some mental health specialists or professionals. And recently what's been echoing in some of my circles, me and my friends, we try to keep a therapist. And the ADHD conversation is coming up. Each of us has had a very different experience with talking to like our therapist as opposed to trying to go get diagnosed. Each of us are black women, and each of us walks away without getting what we feel like we need. And so I'm thankful to my current, like as familiar primary care physician. But like now I feel like I'm having to be very resourceful and strategic to get what I need. But like what do I do and what do I tell other black women? Because I have been vocal to, the earlier point about sharing with our communities. I have been vocal, but when we get to this, situation, it's like, well, I actually don't know what to do besides to go back to my primary care physician. And then I have primary care physicians that's like, yeah, the specialists aren't, helpful. And especially when it comes to this, like, stigma, I guess, for Black women and mental health or getting ADHD. We don't commonly get diagnosed with this until our 30s. And then, I guess, the specialist is disheartening, I guess, and frustrating because it's like your work is probably based on my adolescence, but I'm talking to you about I've probably been masking since I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So like, how do we go back into those spaces, or then what do we do to get the things that we need? Because I'm sure if it's not just me having this experience, and now what do I do?
I thank you so much for that question. And not only you, but me too, and my friends, a lot of us, 30s, 40s, 50s, are just now realizing, wait a minute, is this perimenopause or is it ADHD? And so the first thing I want to say is do not give up. There are so many resources that are out there, but you almost have to dig and fight. So when you're saying, I feel like I have to look for these things myself, yes, ma'am, because we live in a system of systemic racism, discrimination, and lack of resources, especially for Black women. We are the least protected humans, species in the world. So with that, who has these resources available for an ant that they would choose to step on? So with that, we have to first look at ourselves as, no, that is not me. I am a queen. And with queen, I need queendom treatment. So what would a queen do? A queen would first say, all right, I think I'm having these symptoms. I need somehow for someone to clarify what I'm going through. You can go to your primary care, which I love a good primary care doctor, and at times they will fill that gap between if you need medication and before seeing a psychiatrist. Next, use your resources. Not saying that it's a wonderful thing and I'm all that, but I have taught my interns as well as colleagues, like, hey, I'm going to be sending people to you. And if you could please just look out to see if there's an opening, if there's someone missed an appointment or what have you. If you say Dr. Leah Knox sent you, most likely you will be in within 2 weeks. They say the waiting list is 3 months, 7 months, 9 months, 2 years long. I don't see how that is because I see folks all the time. That's not all the way true because remember, systems are run by systems. Technology, it just knows what it sees in this number and it does this. As far as finding a therapist, the therapist will be the one who will diagnose. So that's first thing. Hey, PCP, primary care provider, this is what I'm feeling. We've talked about this before. Can you please refer me to 3 different therapists or counselors? They'll say, well, I can only do 1. Well, I asked for 3, I'll wait. So then when they refer you, you call each one. If in fact you know people in the community who have names of like 20 and 30 of them, get on it. Tell them what you're going through. Also let them know I didn't know anything like this when I was younger. However, as an adult, these are the things I'm experiencing. Can you please assist in diagnosing? And I'll be glad to come for as long as I need to. Sometimes it won't even be ADHD or OCD. It might be PTSD or anxiety or depression. And so now that we're self-diagnosing ourselves, which I do it too, now we're with someone that's a team. Next, if they're saying, well, you may need medication, a lot of us, I ain't taking no meds, all I need is some root beet. That's it. And I need to hang upside down and make sure I only see yellow. No, ma'am. If they say, well, how about we try medication? You are the lead in that too. Have an agreement. If in fact I have to take medication and it feels a certain way, if we are worth our weight in salt, we'll say, hey, after 6 to 8 weeks, if you are still feeling these side effects, we will decrease, increase, or change your medication. Your therapist, which is a me, will then say, okay, let's write this letter or make sure to advocate. So now you're developing your team. Also, look in those resources that I talked about, Black clinicians, Psychology Today, and look up, because I put anything in Google and AI. I need all Black therapists, one with gray eyes, one that's chocolate, and one that has dreads and locks, and then one that's kind of 2 feet tall. They all come up. Do it. I'm promising it works. I need one of a seasoned age, so that would be, 30 and plus. But these are things that you have to actively do. And if you solely rely on your provider that perhaps is not looking like one of us, it's not going to be to your benefit at all times. So you be the lead. I hope that answered your questions. You're welcome.
Be the lead. I like that. Be the lead for your own health care. Yes.
Without insurance, they are essentially working for you. If they're not doing, if you have an employee working for you, and that employee isn't doing their job, you're going to get rid of that employee and find a new one. So your medical team, they are essentially working for you. Your insurance premiums that you pay every month is what pays them. They working for you. So if they're not doing what you need them to do, then get on your Googler and find
Your Googler.
Yeah,
I like that.
Can
Your
I,
Googler.
Can I piggyback on that too? And I tell all of my clients this. Having a therapist, and not to lighten it up or be cliche, is like buying a dress or a wonderful prom, gorgeous luxury outfit. If it doesn't fit, you gonna keep it and try to talk to it and figure it out? Or are you going to say, well, I need to take this back and look for another one? And it's okay for you to ask your therapist, your primary care provider, hey, I'm not sure if we're aligned or not, good word to use. Can I please have a referral for another one? And that's okay because it is your right, but mainly it's your responsibility.
Adrian?
Yeah, I would also have everybody not question, that's the wrong word, but think past the system. So I've had the pleasure within my career of working for independently owned. And I truly feel like sometimes that's a different avenue that not everybody knows or sees, but that can treat the whole person as well too, and be able to have sometimes better resources than a system sometimes where it is okay, great, no, that's outside of my scope, I can't see that, you gotta go see him. And then you gotta go see her, then you gotta go see her, where sometimes there's other clinicians in the community, sometimes other than the system. And I strongly believe in what we can bring to the table as well too for extra resources, but also cutting through some of that red tape.
We've got time for one or two more questions. Yes.
So it sounds like really what we're talking about continually is self-advocation.
Absolutely.
Very exhausting, like that didn't work, and then you just be like, well, I'm done, the system stinks, so keep doing that. But one thing I have learned is to literally integrate all of my doctors. So there's sometimes a box, do you want this information for
Yes.
somebody?
Yes.
That is true.
I've had thyroid issues, and so my internist, or the thyroid doc that I was seeing, the specialist at that time, got my blood work, at her direction. I had blood work done, and she said, oh, your numbers are high, but that's just how you are. My gynecologist, who I hadn't seen in months, I wasn't supposed to, calls me up because I had them connected. I had the
Yes.
paperwork transferred, and she said, how are you feeling? And I'm like, yes, something wrong with my vagina that I don't know. I feel okay. And she said, I just got blood work from your thyroid doctor. She's telling you it's high, but that's okay. And she said, it's not. And I'm tired of seeing people for gynecological problems that are affected by the thyroid when it's a simple test. And she said, I need you to come in. We're going to find somebody else. So have all of your doctors coordinate or connect. And get that
That's a
work.
great takeaway.
Sometimes they'll see something like, hey, wait a second, you had surgery? Why don't you come in, let's talk about this. So that would be.
And if you don't see that box, ask your doctors. How can I have all of you integrated so that you get the communication? Don't assume that they're doing that, because they don't.
They're the same health system. I don't
Right,
know that they're all
right.
connected, so I try and make sure of that because they are so. My chart. Don't even start the my chart. That, I mean, that's 5 business days, right? I mean, I would think so too. That's
And just remember, you are practicing medicine with them. They're practicing medicine. They went to school, they have the degrees, now they're a doctor, but they're still practicing medicine. All of us are different patients. So we have to communicate to them, and we have to take responsibility for saying, no, before we get to that, what happens before that I can do before I have to do that? You have to stop them. You know you better than you. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I do work with girls of color in Milwaukee Public Schools. It's a call them, like she said. My question is, when we're teaching young people, mentoring young people, working with young people, they have to go back home to their environments. Too often, where the trauma is being experienced, they're still, you know, in the midst of it. How can we, or what strategy can the community come up with to like build that bridge to where, okay, they're getting these services in the community and at home by whatever, but then when they go home, the mother's not getting the service, or the father's not getting the service, or the caretaker's not getting the service. So then the service provider in the community has to work like 10 times harder every time you reconnect with that young person.
So how you can serve the whole family.
So yeah, what's the bridge that we can, like, solution that we can create, or is there something already created to where the caretakers are being healed, restored, empowered, and the young people are?
Who wants to take that question? Dr. Knox?
I'll give a shot at it. So that's been the question of my life, working in social services. When it comes to everyone being taken care of, generally there's one recognized client, which tends to be the child. If the child, and this is just some of the things that I do know, is legal or correctionally touched, then Wraparound Milwaukee is always a good resource. CCS is always a good resource, and I believe that's covered by insurance. Then we have other resources where you would think that they don't service everyone, but they will have a touch for everyone. Pearls for Teen Girls is a wonderful avenue, and even though they work with the girls, they're so trusted in that girl community, and now they have other resources, including themselves, to vet out to the rest of the family. Also the church. And I know people would say, well, I don't know about them, but in fact, if you see a father that's going through something, if there is a daughter that has had sexual abuse or not doing well in school or has been in the correctional system, whatever, or is pregnant, whatever it may be, there are churches out there that are progressive and that are having these kind of things. What I would say as an individual is if you see this and you are in MPS and other schools, it is also okay for you to create a team, because then if you don't, we're gonna have you having all kinds of nervous breakdowns, getting frustrated, becoming cynical, and not even wanting to be a part of it because it's too much. But if you have a gift, a talent, and a skill, you are bound to know 5 other people who have different ones that have different connected resources. So making that easier on yourself, getting those people together somehow, even if it's in your little pod, asking, hey, if I got this issue, can I call you? Hey, if there's something that I need from you, where can I get in touch with you and others? I hope that answers the question.
We're past time, but I'm going to take one more question. Yes? No?
So, I don't have a spouse, but I have sisters. I have, well, a sister. I have nieces, a lot of women folk in my family. One of my frat brothers told me, he said, our black women are the power, and we black men are the strength. When my black women in my family are losing their power, what can I do as a sort of strength to help them?
Please, Cherie?
That is a great question, Gerald. I love you. I will say, personally for me, I felt I lost all my power when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, because I carried the torch for my family, and I did everything for them, everything. And what my husband, he cried with me. He shared his tears with me, and I felt that was him being strong, because he was vulnerable in front of me. And then the next day, we came up with a plan of action, and all he did was help me, and he listened. And he just sat there and listened and let me fight this fight my way, and not become just my spouse, but my best friend through the process. So he calls me Little Tupac, because I just like, we about this, like, we about to do this. We're not gonna be defeated. And just by him just allowing me to be me and to navigate through this and being vulnerable in front of me, that showed me, that was my love language. And that was my experience with that. So.
Thank you, Cherie. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for our panel. Thank you, and here she is, our president of NABJ, the National Association of Black Journalists. I want to thank you all and our supporter for helping us host such a wonderful discussion and a very well-needed discussion. Tanette, thank you. Take it
Wow.
away, y'all.
I'm still full. This was amazing. Thank you again to these amazing ladies here. A lot of love, a lot of knowledge, wisdom, and power in this room because of them. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge one of our elected leaders in the room. I'm sorry, Alderwoman Charlene Moore. Thank you for being here. I have admired her work. I've written about her. She's done some amazing things for our young people and for our community. So thank you for being here. But anyway, love this conversation. We learned so much help. And you can see by all of the questions that we need to have more of this in our community. We need more spaces like this. And if you want to have more of this, please, I urge you to support us. There's our QR code to donate, because we would love to do more of this and have these types of open, honest conversations about, our issues, about us as black women and what we can do to make sure we're strong. And as it's been said, when we're strong, when we're healthy, our families are healthy, the community is better because our lives touch so many lives. So thank you. Yes, Gerald?
So, Tanette, I'm not a black journalist. Can I still join NABJ?
Yes, you can. You can support us. Thank you. That is a great question, Gerald. We do have affiliate members. You may not necessarily work directly in journalism, but you support the cause and you want to come alongside of us and help us do this work. We welcome you. We would love to have you. You can become an affiliate member of NABJ-Milwaukee. But before I end, I'd like to thank our partner, the National Association of Health Service Executives. Let's give it up to them, for them. Adrian Bryant, so wonderful on our panel. So again, we hope we can continue this work, and after such a wonderful conversation, I'm gonna go home, y'all, and I am going to in the morning, I'm gonna take me a shower, and then I gotta look into some water yoga. I'm gonna get in some water. I gotta get outside and breathe. How we do it, Dr. Knox? And look, put on some music and jam, okay? Put on some music, and we will be all set. And I gotta take a nap too. I'm definitely taking one after planning all this. But anyway, thank you everyone, it's been great.